Alright guys, what's going on? It's Friday night and back with another episode of Real Talk. So tonight I got a pretty cool, at least what I think is topic to talk about. And it's what is your gateway cabinet? What is your gateway arcade cabinet? Meaning that most of us, if not all of us, have multiple cabinets. And it all started with just one. There was that one cabinet that started it. You got the one, and then after that you got the second, and then the third. Maybe you're just starting off. Maybe you only got one or two or three. I know some of y'all got 15 or 20 plus cabinets. So we're going to be talking about tonight what my gateway cabinet was. And then also in the comments, I just want to kind of open it up to just let me know what your gateway cabinet is. I think it'll be a fun conversation, fun topic. Should be pretty enjoyable. So for me personally, I would go into Walmart. I would see the Pac-Man. I'd see the what else was the other ones? I'd see Pac-Man. I'd see Rampage, I think. And Space Invaders. There we go. Space Invaders. I don't know why I couldn't think of Space Invaders. So I'd see all these ones, and I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. And granted, I grew up like the first console I ever had was a Atari 5200. So I played me some Pac-Man. Never played much Space Invaders actually growing up, but I just was. It just didn't do it for me. I mean, not that I dislike these games, they're fine games, but it just wasn't enough to grab me in. Probably like when I started going to the arcades, it was more of your early 90s. So early 90s is, I was born in 1980. So by the time I was around the 90s hit, I was, 10, 11 years old, had a little bit, couple extra quarters and, dollars from mowing grass laying around, and, weekend night or something like that, ride your bicycle up to the arcade and go hit up the arcades. The games in the arcades at that point in time was Street Fighter, NBA Jam, Ninja Turtles. So through the early 90s is like when I did most of my gaming in the arcades. And the first one, arcade 1-up unit that I saw that really I had to have, that basically was my gateway cabinet, was this one right here. Was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cabinet. And this is a game that I just, to be honest, it was probably actually a game that I was more nostalgic for me on the NES. I've beaten this game on the NES countless times. TMNT, the Hyperstone Heist, Turtles in Time. I've beaten them all on the consoles a lot. But there were also ones that when I would go to the arcade, that if I was with a friend or whatnot, this is one that we would hop on and just have a lot of fun with. It's just obviously easy to hop into and just pump some quarters into and just keep going. And I've always really liked beat 'em ups. Probably not the game that I played the most at the arcade. I'd probably say it was more or less like NBA Jam was probably the game I played the most at the arcade. But it's close. So when they came up and I seen this posted, as far as just like the artwork and the advertisement for this cabinet before it came out, and we're talking like months before it came out, I was just like jaw dropped on the floor, like just that was it. That was like game set match for me, where I'm like, I don't know. At the time, having an arcade in my house I was already a collector. I was already collecting all the different console games and stuff like that. But at the time, just having like an arcade unit in the house was a little bit crazy. I just didn't even think that was like something possible or what. Where am I going to put these things? I'm sure we've all had these kind of thoughts go through our head. But when I seen this cabinet, I was like, man, I gotta have this thing. And so it ended up coming around, and I think I got it for a couple dollars on sale. I think I got it for, I want to say it retailed for around $3.99, and I want to say I got it for around $3.69, $3.79, something. I think it was like 30, 40 bucks on sale, maybe something at the most, 20, 30, 40 bucks or something. I got it on sale, and I got it. And then shortly after that was the Marvel superheroes cabinet. And then shortly after that, I think was when they started having the $50 cabinets, and my buddy Wilshon grabbed me the Galaga cabinet for $50, and I think I got a Pac-Man cabinet at Walmart for $200. And then just then it goes on, and I'm up to now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm up to 8 now. If you count the pinball, I got eight total arcade 1-up products now. So I went from just being like, I couldn't fathom having a cabinet in my house, and where now I have 8 products in my house. And it's one of those things to where it just, once you hit that gateway cabinet, it just starts rolling from there, man. So now on the flip side, I remember getting this cabinet and then like playing it the first week or two. And the first couple weeks I was playing it and played through it like with the twins and my daughter, and had a lot of fun. And then after that first week or two, I think we ended up moving and stuff like that, and I got the other cabinets, and it just went to where it just wasn't getting used. And it's one of those things to where the cabinet doesn't have that. I just come to find out with those two games on it. And I actually had one of the bad PCBs that didn't save the high score, and I was going to reach out to Arcade 1-Up and get a new PCB, because I know a lot of you probably had that same issue as well with the TMNT cabinets had that bad PCB. You had to reach out to them, and you had to show them your receipt and all this stuff. I think I started going through the process, and I was going to do it. And around that time is when I just decided, it's like, the heck with this. I'm just actually going to mod it, because even if I got the PCB that saved the high scores, I was still to the point where like I didn't have the drive to play it. It's like I played Ninja Turtles so much, but at the same time, I love the cabinet. It's just the cabinet, the Ninja Turtles itself is so nostalgic for me, and I loved it, and I just was not going to get rid of it. So I was in the point where I was like, well, I'm not going to get rid of this cabinet ever, but I don't really see myself playing it that much. And that's when I kind of went down the modding route, and I ended up modding this one, and then the Galaga one, and then the Pac-Man one, and so on. But it is how it is. I mean, I mod it, and I definitely use it so much more now that I mod it than I did before. And that's kind of like my rule of thumb is like for cabinets that I really like and that I use, it is really nice having those dedicated cabinets. I like having the dedicated cabinets. I prefer having those if I really like them. But when it gets to a point in time with a cabinet that I'm not using, then modding it for me is the way to go. Actually, I guess that's somewhat a lie, because the Galaga and the Pac-Man ones, I actually played those quite a lot. But those are like the first gen ones, and they were pretty crappy. And I was like, man, after I modded this one, because I think this is the 8-way directional control, and then after that, I'm like, well, shoot, I want something to play shooters on, and I modded the Galaga one, so I got the vertical screen with 8-way directional controls. And then after that, it's like, well, I can't play Pac-Man and Burger Time on a 8-way directional control, and then I just modded the Pac-Man one, because I feel like those were cabinets that were really cheap. They just, you guys know how the first gen ones are. They're not very good. For being what they were at the time, being those first gen and like the first round that they put out, they were pretty cool. But all in all, when you look back on them, they're just like, compare them to what we have now. Arcade 1-Up has come a long way as far as just like their products of late. But this is what did it for me. Obviously it's changed a lot now, and now I just use it for all kinds of things, and it gets used so much more. And I just, I think that's just my thing. If I get to a point, it's like, I guess you can either sell the cabinet if something is just taking up dead space, because I only got so much space. But if something that's taking up dead space, I feel like I either need to sell it or mod it towards have a project towards fun, and I end up doing something with. But the point being is that let me know what your gateway cabinet is. Was it the Pac-Man? Was it the Galaga? Was it the Asteroids? Was it Space Invaders? What was your cabinet that made you say, did you wait all the way until the Legacy cabinets? Was it the Street Fighter one? And I know the Street Fighter one was probably it for a lot of people as well. But let me know what your gateway cabinet is, and let's talk about it and have some fun. That's it for this video, guys. See you in the next one. Later.